The Affection Debt. Jiefeng. January 31st, 2022. Translated by Qin Yu, edited by Peter. Debts can include property debts, money debts, affection debts, nature debts, and life debts. Property debt. You borrowed something from someone else and didn't return it, or you ate or took something that belongs to someone else without repaying it. You then owe a property debt. Money debt. You borrowed money from others and didn't repay it, so you now owe a money debt. Affection debt. You received help from others or received physical, psychological, and spiritual comfort without returning or compensating them. You incur an affection debt. Nature debt. Anyone who harms nature or others without making sufficient efforts and contributions will owe a nature debt. Life debt. As the saying goes, one who murders pays with the forfeit with his life. In fact, if you kill any life, you have to pay with your own life. If you killed a life and have not paid for it, then you owe a life debt. What we need to be vigilant about and keep in mind is that as long as the above-mentioned debts are not repaid, we will inevitably enter reincarnation, and there is absolutely no hope of going to heaven. This article focuses on affection debts. Affection debts are divided into debts of favor and love debts. The debt of favor means that others have helped you, but you have not correspondingly helped them, so you owe a debt of favor. Therefore, everyone should carefully recall who has helped them. If you have received help from others but have not returned the corresponding help, you should quickly find a way and an opportunity to help them. There is a value in life genuine. Do not offer help if someone does not ask for it. If you help someone without him asking for it, you are actually hurting him because he thus owes you a debt of favor, and you will make him become a pig in the next life. It is cruel to make him transform into a pig, dog, cow, or sheep to pay you back in the next life. Love debts are mainly the debts owed by men and women who are in love. People need comfort in their spirits and souls, and also need comfort in their physiology. When people get physical and receive psychological and spiritual comfort from the other side without giving the corresponding consolation to that other side, then they owe a debt of love. There is a predestined relationship in a love debt, and that predestined relationship is also a debt. Once you feel that you still have feelings for someone, and feel that you are in debt to someone, or you can't forget him or her because of the deep affection, that means you owe a love debt. One of the core components of self-improvement and self-cultivation is to strive to repay the debts of property, money, affection, nature, and life. The most effective way to repay them is to do formless almsgiving, which especially works well for paying off life debts. I hope that on this New Year's Eve everyone will have a clear mind, give more and take less, and after entering the Lunar New Year, repay all kinds of debts and end all kinds of worldly ties, and go to heaven freely and unrestrainedly.
思路清晰，人生才顺才有未来。
Clear thinking leads to a smooth life and a promising future. Jiefeng. February 1st, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. I mainly study the books without words. The natural phenomena and social changes are books without words, and people are also books without words. Reading people is like reading books without words. After studying many individuals, I've noticed a pattern. The clearer and more organized one's thinking, the smoother their life tends to be. Conversely, a disorganized mind leads to a difficult life. A core factor for an unsatisfactory life is a confused thought process. If one's thinking is muddled, their life is bound to be turbulent. From this, we understand that to make our life smoother, our first step should not be to pursue external success, but rather to adjust our thinking. Once our thoughts become clear, a smooth life will naturally follow. To predict someone's future, don't focus on their wealth, status, or facial features and physiognomy based on the 8 characters Ba-zi. Instead, pay attention to the clarity of their thinking. If their thoughts are unclear, their future will likely be chaotic. If their thoughts fluctuate between clarity and confusion, their future will be a mix of success and failure. However, if someone's thinking is consistently clear, even reaching a state of profound understanding, their life will not only be smooth, but will also lead them to a heavenly realm. The direction a nation or a country is headed can be determined by the clarity of the thinking of its citizens, especially that of its leadership. If the thinking is unclear, without a doubt, the future of that nation or country will be in turmoil. On the contrary, if the thinking is clear, the future will be bright, leading to prosperity and success. If you don't believe my viewpoint, you can randomly select an elderly person and observe whether their life has been smooth or not. If it has been, then check the clarity of their thinking. Without a doubt, it will be clear and organized. Take the case of a high-ranking official who has been steadily advancing in their career for over a decade. Suddenly, they commit a crime and are imprisoned, and their assets are confiscated. They experience a major setback. Is this a result of clear thinking or confusion? Undoubtedly, it is due to unclear thinking, as they believe that being in a position of power allowed them to act with impunity. Their lack of clear thinking led to this outcome. When someone writes an article, if it lacks focus, is rambling, has disjointed arguments, and is full of loopholes, without a doubt, their thinking is unclear, and their life will certainly not be smooth. Anyone who follows such an individual, no matter how many people he attracts, will ultimately suffer. Similarly, look at a person's living environment. If their bedroom, yard, and surroundings are dirty and messy, with garbage scattered everywhere, clothes and bedding left in disarray, and dishes piled up in the sink, there is no need for further analysis. Their thinking is undoubtedly unclear, and their life will match their environment, chaotic and disordered. How to make one's thinking clear? This question is too broad and extensive to be fully revealed in a few sentences. It involves one's past merits, faith, worldview, values, and outlooks on life and life. However, one point worth considering is to read more books, travel more, observe more, and engage in deeper contemplation. Extend the scope of your thoughts as far as possible into the distant future. For example, the results of thinking about something 1 year ahead will be different from thinking about it 10 years ahead, and thinking about it 100 years or even 1,000 years ahead will be entirely different. The longer the time span of your thinking, the clearer your mind will become. Short-term thinking leads to scattered thoughts, and as a result, your mind cannot be clear. Conversely, long-term thinking leads to a clear mind. Short-term thinking leads to confusion.
慢聊远见与短视的差异。
Chatting about the difference between foresight and short-sightedness. Jiefeng. February 2, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The farther we look ahead, the simpler and lighter life becomes. The closer we focus, the more complex and burdensome it becomes. Are you considering tomorrow's life? Or are you thinking about life 10 years from now? How about 60 years from now? Or even 100 years from now? Imagine ourselves standing at a crossroads, with one path led by a president saying, "Follow me, and I will give you a position in government." Another path led by a billionaire saying, "Follow me, and I will make you rich." Then a pastor saying, "Follow me, and I will lead you to heaven." Finally, a philosopher saying, "Follow me, and I will help you discern right from wrong." Which path should we choose? This decision involves a person's perspective. As we have already clarified, the longer the time limit for thinking about outcomes, the clearer our thoughts become, and the brighter our future becomes. Conversely, the shorter the time limit for thinking, the more confused we are about the future. At the same time, we know that tigers will never grow wings. We should never fantasize about having all the advantages. Thus, when making choices, we know that following the president will only secure tomorrow's benefits, following the billionaire will secure benefits 10 years from now, following the pastor will secure benefits after death, and following the philosopher will ensure that we live a clear and straightforward life. Now, who are you ready to follow? Is there anyone thinking, "I'll follow the president first. Maybe I can gain a position, make money, go to heaven, and live a clear life"? If you think that way, it proves that your thinking is unclear, and the issue of foresight and short-sightedness does not even arise. You are a muddled individual, a patient with schizophrenia, living in a fantasy world because such a thing is almost impossible. The vast majority of people in humanity lack foresight. They drift with the wind, pursuing immediate benefits, saying, Whoever offers me the most money, I'll follow them. Or I'll follow whoever can provide me with comfort, excitement, and pleasure. Or I'll follow whoever can give me a government position. Or I'll follow whoever has the highest reputation. These are all short-sighted behaviors. It's similar to many parents helping their children choose a college and major based solely on which one will best secure a job with a higher salary after graduation. A very short-sighted approach. Foresight means knowing the future outcome of a certain phenomenon. The longer the time span of knowing the result, the more foresight one has. For example, some people see a child's appearance, behavior, and way of speaking and conclude that the child will become an outstanding talent 20 years later. Others see a teenager shoveling manure while reading a book and predict that this person will undoubtedly become a future leader. Some people witness an official accepting a bribe and predict that this person will end up in prison 10 years later, and so on. These are all instances of foresight. Short-sightedness, on the other hand, means prioritizing immediate benefits without considering the future consequences. For example, polluting rivers and exploiting others for personal wealth, giving up faith for personal safety and gain, betraying close friends and family for promotion, willingly singing praises to the devil to avoid risks, distorting facts and confusing right and wrong for the sake of promotion, and being opportunistic without principles. These are all forms of short-sightedness. The benefits of foresight are avoiding pitfalls, being proactive in taking preventive measures, and maintaining confidence in the future even during extremely challenging times, instead of compromising one's principles to ally with wrongdoers and assist in their evil deeds. The tragedy of short-sightedness is that it may bring temporary gains and secure personal interests. However, when circumstances change, they might encounter troubles or even disasters. Anyone only considering immediate benefits or benefits 3 to 4 years ahead is undoubtedly short-sighted. Those considering benefits 10 years or longer ahead are surely individuals with foresight. Anyone considering benefits 100 years ahead is extraordinary and no longer an ordinary person. As for those considering benefits thousands, tens of thousands, or billions of years ahead, they are surely gods, Buddhas, or immortals.
自然之道在日常生活中的运用。
The application of the way of nature in daily life. Jiefeng. November 2, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. What is the way of nature? Let us gain inspiration and understanding from the natural world. Take a corn seed, plant it in moist soil, and within 1 day the embryo germinates. After about 1 week, a small shoot emerges from the ground. Around 27 days later, it starts to grow new leaves. After 52 days, it develops corn silk, and male pollen appears at the top. Around 90 days later, the corn cob matures. In about 100 days, the corn will be ready for harvest. The corn grain takes 100 days from entering the soil to maturing, and this is the way of nature. An egg hatches into a chicken in around 21 days under normal conditions, and this is also the way of nature. Water freezes into solid at 0 degrees, melts into liquid above 0 degrees, and evaporates into gas at 100 degrees. Temperature changes lead to variations in the water's molecular state, and this is the way of nature. Water flows naturally, and when the melon is ripe, it falls off the vine. These are powerful proofs of the way of nature. Looking at the vast world, apart from many phenomena caused by human activities, all other phenomena change and evolve according to the way of nature. It can be said that all things in the world follow the way of nature. Humans are one species in nature, and are also bound by the laws of the way of nature. For example, aging and death are inevitable, but humans have subjectivity in thinking, so they have the tendency and ability to deviate from the way of nature. When we summarize the disasters in human society and the causes of individual troubles and suffering, we find that they are caused precisely by violating the way of nature. Conversely, when society is stable, the weather is favorable, and people live happily and contentedly, it is a result of adhering to and following the way of nature. Therefore, we can conclude that when people obey and follow the way of nature, society becomes harmonious and stable, and people live in harmony and happiness. On the other hand, when they go against and disrupt the way of nature, society becomes turbulent and unstable, and people suffer and endure hardships. So how do we obey the way of nature? Let me explain through some everyday phenomena. The phenomenon of sudden wealth. Analyzing the 100-day maturity process of corn seeds after entering the soil, we can see that the phenomenon of sudden wealth goes against the way of nature. Wealth and prosperity should be accumulated little by little, day by day, following the natural course of events. Instant wealth is not in accordance with the way of nature, and its result is catastrophic. It leads to extreme and distorted psychological activities, dramatic changes in language, gestures, and even physiological functions. The attitudes and demands of others towards the individual change, often leading to contradictions and conflicts. In such cases, the phenomenon of sudden wealth results in inflated desires, strained relationships, an imbalanced normal life order, and twisted and distorted mental states. In short, it increases troubles, suffering, anxiety, and fear. Many people love gambling, playing the stock market for speculation, and engaging in betting. All of these are the psychological outcomes that go against the principles of the way of nature. Similarly, corruption, borrowing money for business ventures, to quickly get the first bucket of gold, to live in a luxurious mansion, drive luxury cars, and so on. All ideas and actions aimed at getting rich quickly go against the way of nature. This is like sowing corn seeds and expecting a harvest after just 3 to 5 days. The result will undoubtedly bring numerous troubles, sufferings, anxiety, and worries. Therefore, everything cannot be rushed. Any mentality or action that seeks quick success violates the way of nature, and the result is undoubtedly contrary to one's wishes. By going against the way of nature, any self-satisfied success will bring countless hidden dangers. These hidden dangers will gradually be exposed or erupt in the individual's future life. For example, corrupt officials who are smug and self-satisfied may end up in prison or get kidnapped or murdered in their future life journey. The fear of death. 99% of people have a fear of death, which is a very irrational mentality. Death is the most natural and just thing, as everything in the world ultimately leads to death. Even the heaven and the earth will have a day of extinction. How could humans be an exception? To eliminate the fear of death, one must understand the principles of the way of nature. Once understood, one can face death calmly without disturbance. Death is not an accidental event. It is an inevitable trend that cannot be avoided. Therefore, the best mentality is to embrace death with a smile. Whether in fear or smiling, death is inevitable. Fear makes people timid and fearful, while smiling makes people live a relaxed, free, and enjoyable life. Why not embrace death with a smile and live a life full of romance? In fact, those who understand the mysteries of life and time are the least afraid of death, because death opens another door for the journey of life. Perhaps the scenery after death is even more fascinating and pleasant. Thus, those who understand the way of nature and walk on its path will never fear death. If one still fears death, it means they are on a path that deviates from the way of nature. The phenomenon of poverty. Have you noticed that the more impoverished and backward a place is, the more likely it is to suffer from natural disasters and human-made calamities? Similarly, impoverished people tend to have narrow, conservative, stubborn, short-sighted, selfish, and harmful thinking patterns. There seems to be a hidden spell that says, the more they have, the more they are given, and the less they have, the more they stay impoverished. I used to be puzzled by why places in poverty are more prone to disasters and why impoverished people tend to be conservative, stubborn, and harmful. After repeatedly studying the book without words, I finally discovered that the root cause lies in violating the way of nature. When we observe birds, whether eagles or sparrows, migratory or resident birds, they are always busy surviving. However, impoverished regions and individuals living in poverty are not as busy as birds. This indicates that they are not walking on the path of the way of nature. The way of nature tells us that the more accommodating a place is to various species, the easier it is to survive on this place. Similarly, for humans, those who have an open mind and embrace diverse ideas and lifestyles are more likely to avoid disasters and move towards prosperity and happiness. As the saying goes, The one who steals will not become wealthy, and the one who treats guests well will not be poor. If a person's home always has guests from all over, it will not be a place of poverty. Take the United States, for example. It is prosperous, strong, civilized, and free. Why? Because the United States embraces the largest number of multi-ethnic, multi-faith, multi-group, and multilingual immigrants in the world. Immigrants make up 15.3% of the total population in the United States. It is not difficult to understand from this point that in the past, present, and future, the United States has been prosperous and powerful. Conversely, when we look at poor and underdeveloped countries, most of them are closed and exclude foreigners. Biodiversity is a sign of prosperity, which aligns with the way of nature. A place that closes itself off and excludes outsiders goes against the way of nature, leading to inevitable poverty. Regarding individuals, those who refuse to accept new ideas, cultures, concepts, and lifestyles will inevitably become conservative, stubborn, and fall into poverty and decline. Phenomenon of disease. Disease is a sign of violating the way of nature. Following the natural way of rising with the sun and resting with the sunset is in accordance with the way of nature. Those who violate it will eventually fall ill. Regular routines in daily life and moderation in diet are in harmony with the way of nature. Violations of these principles will lead to illness. Negative mental states such as anger, comparison, envy, greed, aggressiveness, belligerence, selfishness, and the pursuit of pleasure and so on, also violate the way of nature, leading to illness. Here I propose a Goldbach conjecture regarding diseases. I encourage readers to gather, summarize, analyze, and reason to verify it. The conjecture is, anyone who has a disease must have violated the way of nature, and anyone without a disease must be following the way of nature. Phenomenon of seeking immediate gain and profits. First of all, let me tell you that 99% of humanity seeks immediate gain and profits. Any phenomenon of seeking immediate gain and profits is a violation of the way of nature. From forcing children to abandon play for studying to commercial endeavors seeking the first bucket of gold, bribery and corruption in the business world, or cutting corners to get ahead, all these attempts to gain benefits by violating natural laws, and even in the realm of spiritual cultivation, many people barely scratch the surface of cultivating themselves but wish to become immortals or enlightened beings. Moreover, many people lack even basic knowledge of how to be a decent human being. Yet, having learned only a few pieces of patchwork jargon related to spiritual cultivation, they audaciously present themselves as masters, attempting to propagate their teachings and mislead others. Many people show a lack of diligence in their studies, resort to deception and trickery in their work, fail to contemplate deeply in their thoughts, and neglect serious academic inquiry. Yet, they constantly harbor the desire to achieve rapid success and prosperity. But where can such success come so easily and effortlessly? Once they achieve their wishes too effortlessly, without a doubt, they step into a trap and plant hidden dangers. Planned economy and market economy. Planned economy violates the way of nature, while market economy aligns with the way of nature. When we observe nature, no human intervention is required for management. Species naturally reproduce and their populations self-regulate. Over billions of years, nature proceeds orderly without disorder. However, once humans intervene, disrupting the natural course, disruptions occur, and calamities like droughts, floods, pest infestations, fires, extreme heat, and extreme cold emerge. Similarly, looking at countries, those with market economies prosper, while those with planned economies will inevitably be poor and underdeveloped. The more government intervention, the worse the situation becomes. Conversely, the less government intervention, the healthier and more prosperous the economy becomes. The application of the way of nature in daily life is discussed through the above-mentioned phenomena. In human society, there are countless occurrences of deviating from the way of nature. I hope everyone can take the examples I provided as a starting point and extend their understanding to other situations, gradually realizing the benefits of following the way of nature. I can clearly tell you that the way of nature is the way of the greatest creator.
论借力天时之机密。
On borrowing the opportune moments of heaven's timing. Jiefeng. November 12, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. When the timing of the heavens is off, the sun and moon lack radiance. When the timing of the earth is off, grass and trees do not thrive. When the timing of water is off, the waves are not calm. When the timing of people is off, the flow of fortune is blocked. Rhapsody on dwelling in the mountains. The timing of heaven is a subtle mechanism, and the opportune moment is the way of heaven. When the opportune moment arrives, all things respond and flourish. When it departs, all phenomena follow randomly and wither away. Humans possess the insight into the subtleties of heaven's timing. Following the timing of heaven brings smoothness and prosperity, while going against it leads to stagnation and obstruction. Heaven's timing is beyond human control or manipulation. The only way to prosper is to align with the timing and circumstances. There is a saying, times create heroes. But it is not just heroes. Times also create the wealthy, tyrants, experts, and scholars. Both fame and fortune are created by seizing the opportune moments, while disasters and misfortunes are similarly formed. Ignorant and foolish people do not understand the timing of heaven, and those who go against it will face hardships. Even if one has vast knowledge and aspirations to conquer the universe, going against the timing of heaven makes it difficult to display one's talents and fulfill one's ambitions. Conversely, petty individuals, when they follow the timing of heaven, can also have luxurious mansions, fancy cars, and a bustling scene of carriages and horses in front of their gates. Those who truly understand the secrets of seizing opportune moments are humble and unpretentious. They avoid calamities by acting humbly. Those who are arrogant and rely on their talents are unaware of the secrets of heaven's timing and will inevitably face punishment. A person's talents are shaped by the circumstances of the times. Without favorable circumstances, there are no talented individuals. For example, during the Cultural Revolution, there were no private entrepreneurs. It is wrong to say that heroes create their own opportunities. Without the assistance of favorable timing, a hero could be a thug, but with the support of favorable timing, a thug can instantly become a hero. Natural timing and social timing are distinct. The changing of the 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, is natural timing, which humans can only follow and not alter. Social timing arises from the cycle of cause and effect. When negative karma exceeds a critical threshold, the timing will turn adverse. Conversely, when positive merits surpass a certain threshold, the timing will turn favorable. For individuals, they should be modest and humble, conforming to the natural timing, which is to revere nature. When social timing conflicts with one's nature, one should hide their talents and bide their time. When social timing aligns with one's nature, they should seize the opportunity to fully display their abilities. Opportunities lost may never return. There are major and minor opportune moments. Major opportune moments refer to global-scale occurrences, such as the global use of masks. Minor opportune moments refer to local events, such as Ukraine facing an invasion, which leads to emigration. To follow the timing of heaven is to borrow its power and seize the opportune moments. Just like migratory birds migrate with the power of heaven, the rise of private entrepreneurs is also supported by the power of heaven. Going abroad to study and start a business also benefits from the assistance of the timing of heaven. If social timing closes the country's borders, how can one fulfill their desire to go abroad? Therefore, in countless threads and fibers, its essence remains unchanged. Let it gather and disperse as it may, the willow tree still gracefully sways. Don't mock the fleeting beauty of spring's soft fluff, for it has no roots yet endures the gusty stuff. With a favorable wind as my guide, I ascend high and bright, riding on good fortune, soaring to the heights. When the weather is clear, dry the grass. When the iron is hot, strike it. Noble people are hard to encounter, but when you do, be respectful. Good timing is hard to come by, but when you encounter it, seize it. Do not miss the opportune moments, as missing them leads to regret and disappointment.
城市在天内库被扒掉的启示。
Achieving success through heavenly timing. Insights from losing my underpants. Jiefeng. March 8, 2023. Edited by Chinyo. Last night, the four of us were playing the card game Struggling Upstream, a Chinese card game similar to Hearts, and I ended up losing all my clothes. Note: in this context, Ba Gong refers to losing all the chips in the game, not stripping off clothes. In the game, losing a round results in losing 1 chip, and losing 5 chips is considered being Ba Gong, stripped off. Winning a round gains you 1 chip. Each player starts with 5 chips for each round of the game. For me, it was an experience of utter defeat, something I hadn't experienced since I started playing the game at the age of 4 or 5. Could it be that my card skills have regressed? No. It's that the Tao has bestowed upon me a profound gift, allowing me to further understand the rules and principles hidden within the seemingly chaotic and disorderly holographic order. The ancient sages have long told us, man plans and the heavens decide. Before one experiences a thorough defeat, these teachings are merely theoretical without personal experience and realization. Only through experiencing failure or triumph can one truly comprehend their essence. In the control of the Tao, regardless of how exceptional one's card skills are, or how good the cards they hold, they may still lose and be left with nothing, stripped bare. Similarly, regardless of how poor one's card skills are or how bad the cards they hold, they still have a chance to win the game. Just observe people around you. Some may be exceptionally good-looking, yet their lives are miserable. Some may have a humble appearance but live for 100 years in peace. Some may possess exceptional talent and intelligence, yet meet a tragic end. Some may be ignorant and clueless, yet live their lives unscathed. Some may be immensely wealthy, yet end up in prison. Some may live their whole lives in poverty but still enjoy family happiness. I have written an article called Mahjong, Holography and Chinese Culture, which was inspired by playing Mahjong and understanding the underlying principles. Last night, while playing poker Struggling Upstream, I further realized the profound connotation of man plans and the heavens decide. Those who have played Mahjong and poker must deeply feel that in a game with 4 players, the cards you draw each time are different from the last time. Even if you play all your life, it is difficult to draw a hand identical to a hand you previously held. The 54 card combinations are astronomical, seemingly random, disorderly, and chaotic. Yet, each player's outcome is almost predetermined. This is the principle of holography, where hidden within the seemingly chaotic disorder lies strict and elusive rules and principles. Behind these rules and principles, there are mysteries that are unseen, unheard, and untouchable. These mysteries are the truth of holography, but they are not the entirety of the truth. The true core truth lies in Tao's holographic mechanism. Understanding the principles of the holographic mechanism, one will no longer seek quick gains, feel restless, impose one's will on others, or be overly competitive. In the holographic mechanism, the best way to live is to play, entertain, and experience, while everything else is illusory and transient. Only by understanding Tao's holographic mechanism can one become a celestial being.
同维度认知解决不了同维度矛盾。
Cognition within the same dimension cannot resolve internal conflicts. Jiefeng. May 17,